Rings of Power is the most expensive TV show ever created, and Amazon has released very few viewership numbers, which of course is pretty odd, but it looks like we know why they decided not to be transparent with us, because while the show made the top 15 originals released in 2022 list, it barely made the list, coming in last place. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media, like Twitter or mine, so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So, I originally found out about this situation because Discussing Films decided to put out a tweet about it. I haven't really seen any news articles on it, of course, but they tweeted the most viewed original TV shows of 2022 on streaming according to Nielsen, and Netflix dominates this list. I mean, there are only 2 different series that are on this list that are not Netflix, so clearly they are doing great when it comes to original programming. But funny enough, Rings of Power is on this list, and it is in last place. Now, I think we all expected Rings of Power to do pretty good. We heard that it, broke streaming numbers for Amazon Prime Video. They were so excited about the future seasons, and they were considering it a success. Well, compared to their competition, they're not doing so great. So as you can see, number 1 is Stranger Things, 2 is Ozark, 3 is Wednesday, then you have Cobra Kai, Bridgerton, Virgin River, Dahmer, Love is Blind, Inventing Anna, then we get from 10 to 15, The Crown, The Boys, Great British Baking Show, Umbrella Academy, The Last Kingdom, and then The Rings of Power. Now, as you can see, the only other series on this list that Prime Video has is The Boys, which came in at 10.6 billion minutes viewed, but Rings of Power couldn't even break 10, sitting at 9.4 billion minutes viewed. We knew that this show probably wasn't going great for Amazon, just judging by the way that they have hidden numbers, the way that they have, had to basically force viewers into watching it. They've had to push advertising. They have had to go into tons of interviews, basically begging people to watch. And it doesn't really look like, as many people showed up to watch it as they wanted us to believe. Of course, we originally heard that the premiere episodes drew in like 25 million households, and they were so excited for that. And that is one of the only numbers that we have gotten, and we found out only 2 weeks after release, it had fallen off of Nielsen's charts. This is another Bounding into Comics article. Rings of Power completely falls off of Nielsen's charts just 2 weeks after the season finale. This, of course, doesn't bode well for Amazon because they only had just come out with this season, and it's going to be years until they release new content. They said end of 2024, early 2025 at the soonest, and it just doesn't seem like people stuck around to even rewatch it after the full season was released. I personally was very disappointed with Rings of Power. I was disappointed with the way they threw out the source material. They didn't really try to focus on what Tolkien wanted for his creations, and they just kind of did their own thing. And that is why I personally roasted this show so much and talked about it so negatively, and so many other people did as well. And on this post that Discussing Films made, people are just laughing at the fact that Amazon's series couldn't even break, top 10 or top 5, especially from how much money they poured into it. The Rings of Power is the most expensive TV show ever made, and it's only at 15. It just proves that no matter how much money you throw at something, if the storytelling and the acting is bad, it's not going to save it. It doesn't matter if it's pretty, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. You have to have good storytelling, good acting, and you have to stick to the source material, and you need every single viewer, and that includes fans of the original content, in this case Tolkien's writings, and they just kind of spit in the face of fans, and this is what they get. There's also a lot of people here talking about how they loved a lot of the content on this list, and honestly, yeah, a lot of this content is very solid. But it is hilarious to see something like The Last Kingdom beat Rings of Power. Great British Baking Show beat this series. If you like that content, that is awesome. That is great. But you would think that Rings of Power would rank much, much higher on this list. Also, keep in mind that this is about streaming shows, so things like HBO programming won't be on this list, so Better Call Saul isn't here, House of the Dragon isn't here. I would like to see all original programming in general on a list to see how they fare, but also, even though this video is on Rings of Power, no Disney series made it onto this list, so, all of the trash that they've been putting out didn't end up here, which is just freaking hilarious. It seems like Amazon is going to have a very rough time with Rings of Power. They have upset Tolkien fans. They clearly do not have an audience besides us. They are years away from another season, and their show is already not being watched. I just don't know how much worse it can get for them. And I have talked about some rumors circulating around this series and their potential plans for it. We, even heard that they were delaying the demotion of the showrunners to avoid sinking the first season's Emmy odds, because it sounds like they want to switch up the creative team. They're not really happy with what the showrunners were doing. We do know that now there is an all-female production team behind the scenes for the next season, and they think that is going to save the show, and I just don't see that happening. But it just seems like they have faced hurdle after hurdle, and honestly, they deserve it. I have no hopes for this show. I don't see a way that they can make it better, that they can fix it, that they can get back on track with the source material, and they can make this show what it really deserved to be in the first place. But yeah, as you can see right now, Amazon is just being absolutely embarrassed by Netflix. The most viewed original TV shows of 2022 list on streaming is out, and Rings of Power was at the very freaking bottom. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.